Take us to the hospital,
No.
please, Happy. No, Tony.
No
You
is a
have to go to
complete
the
answer.
hospital.
I don't
the
have
doctor
to do
has
anything.
To look
I've been
at
in
you.
captivity for 3 months. There are 2 things I want to do. I want an American cheeseburger.
Would you sit on a couch 7.5 hours straight to watch an Avengers marathon? We would not blame you for that. Marvel dominates the box office with each new hero, star, character, or super team adding to the universe's legacy. We appreciate Marvel's commitment to including Easter eggs because of how they foreshadow events and or pay homage to the source material. We are all here for that. From post-credits to the Hulk and Bruce merging, here are some Marvel Easter eggs you might have missed. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Doctor Strange, Birthday Entertainer Supreme, Avengers Infinity War. Luckily for Tony Stark, he's able to hold his own against Doctor Strange in the insults department and lands a pretty clever one when he asks, "What is your job exactly?" Except to make balloon animals. While no doubt meant to draw attention to the fact that Strange's getup makes him look like an eccentric magician who might perform tricks at children's birthday parties, it's also a callback to the very real skit Doctor Strange actor Benedict Cumberbatch performed on Jimmy Kimmel Live back around the time the Doctor Strange movie was in theaters. And that bit, Strange is invited to Kimmel's home, but instead of battling demons, Kimmel hires him to entertain a kid's birthday party. Strange initially refuses until he finds out that there's $150 in it for him and proceeds to start making balloon animals for the kids. The skit ends with one of the kids insulting Strange's balloon animal skills, prompting the Sorcerer Supreme to teleport him to a demonic dimension. In other words, Doctor Strange left a kid to die a horrible death in another dimension, but don't think about it too hard. He's still one of the good guys. Fingers crossed. Low-key is coming. There are plenty of missions to tackle post-story, including an iconic mission for Thor in Scandinavia that provides a fun change in scenery, a chance to level up Thor's stats, and set up future stories and DLC. In Thor's mission, Thor is going after a doppelganger, which Thor learns is trickery by his adopted brother Loki. The only signs of Loki shown are glowing green footprints and a fake Thor, which is obviously a tease of things to come. Avengers Endgame post-credits explain. Marvel is known for including post-credit scenes, but Endgame didn't happen to feature one, and the reason makes a lot of sense. Endgame marked the culmination of a 10-year journey spanning 22 films. Even though Marvel has a plan for Phase 4, teasing them at the end of an emotional roller coaster like Endgame wouldn't have felt right. Although we did just say there was no post-credit scene. If you happen to wait to the very end of the credits as we did, you'd hear a hammering sound gradually getting closer. The hammering noise is a throwback to Tony forging his very first Iron Man armor in a cave during the first Iron Man film, a reminder of how far the franchise has come into fight. At their best, the MCU's post-credit scenes have functioned as a microcosmic version of what the series succeeds at, introducing big characters, big stories, and big twists, with a laugh on occasion, and making its audience care in an instant. At their worst, well, they've kept audience members in their seats for far too long and hinted at storylines that never panned out into much. Avengers Endgame and the film, and its willingness to at least act as if some things really are ending after a decade of build-up, is all the better for it. Cheeseburger. Following her father's funeral, Morgan tells Happy she'd like a cheeseburger, which brings a smile to his face because that was Tony's favorite too. It was a touching moment and also a reminder of the first Iron Man film when Tony escaped captivity and upon his return to the United States wanted one thing and one thing only, a cheeseburger. Hawkeye becomes Ronin, Avengers Endgame. When Hawkeye was left out of Infinity War, it felt strange, but now having seen Endgame, his absence makes a lot of sense. Much like Scott Lang was in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Hawkeye was on house arrest during Infinity War, but after witnessing his entire family turn to dust, which is revealed at the beginning of Endgame, Hawkeye becomes Ronin, a samurai-inspired persona Barton adopts in the comics following the events of the Civil War storyline. Much like in Endgame, Ronin's costume is black and yellow, and rather than his bow, Ronin wields a samurai sword among other various weapons. Professor Hulk makes his debut, Avengers Endgame. Bruce Banner and Hulk becoming one in Endgame was an awesome surprise that likely caught a lot of people off guard, but it also happens to be a throwback to 1991 where Professor Hulk made his debut. The two agreed that by combining Hulk's size and strength with Banner's wit and smarts, Professor Hulk would be the ideal transformation and compromise for both. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Hulk story arc was largely chronicled in other characters' films. His journey began in 2008's The Incredible Hulk, but continued mainly through the Avengers franchise and Thor: Ragnarok. But his time on screen wasn't squandered in the least, as the character evolved from a man on the run to a superhero in the eyes of everyone around him. Avengers Endgame was the culmination of his appearances, with the two personas melding to to become Professor Hulk. Following the events of Avengers Infinity War, Bruce Banner, Mark Ruffalo, and the Hulk were barely on speaking terms. This was due to his defeat at the hands of Thanos, Josh Brolin. However, once half of all life was erased, both Banner and the Hulk were forced to sort out their differences and work out a way to operate as a team. What happened was a melding of their minds that had Bruce's consciousness and the Hulk's strength become one. Captain America's appearance was teased in the first two Iron Man movies. Fans got a first look at what Marvel had up their sleeves when a familiar item was seen behind Tony Stark in a scene in Iron Man. Unfinished, you can spot Captain America's famous shield sitting on a table. The shield shows up in Iron Man 2 as well. The shield is an instrumental Easter egg in these movies. The shield seems to be popular here because during the final battle, Thanos slowly chipping away and eventually becoming Captain America's shield during the final battle was not only an awesome scene, but also a nod to the comics, where Cap's shield is broken by Thanos in an extremely similar fashion. Surprisingly, the Mad Titan isn't the only villain to break Cap's iconic shield. Both Molecule Man and Ultron have done so in the past. The scene also reminded us of Tony's dream, where he pictures Captain America laying on the ground beside a broken shield. The Mandarin has a tattoo of Captain America's shield. Let's take it to Iron Man 3, where the series is wrapping up. Trevor Slattery, aka Mandarin, displays an interesting tattoo on the back of his neck. If you hit pause, you'll see that he has a shield that strangely looks like the one Captain America wields. The only difference is that the tattoo has an anarchy symbol instead of a star. Gasp! It's the corruption of America again. It was that brilliant kind of mashup vibe of how would a think tank create a terrorist? And the way that they would do it in their own wanky way is to put together a mood board of all the symbols of modern Western power. And I think post the Battle of New York, Cap's shield would be one of them. Odin's Ravens appear in the Avengers as his spies from the comics. The Avengers has an abundance of little hints throughout the film. While Odin's Ravens were a part of the comics, they're a bit more hidden in the movie. In Thor's coronation ceremony scene, the two ravens that are sitting on the throne are suspected to be the same birds that are the eyes and ears of Odin. Two ravens sit on Odin's shoulders and whisper all the news which they see and hear into his ear. They are called Hugin and Munnin. He sends them out in the morning to fly around the whole world, and by breakfast they are back again. Thus, he finds out many new things, and this is why he is called Raven God. Interpretations of the Iron Man jingle from the cartoon are heard throughout the films. Iron Man became the #1 superhero when the films were made, but it still pays homage to its original state, the cartoon from 1966. In Iron Man, you can hear the theme song playing several times, one being the casino scene, and another jingle can be heard as Rodney's ringtone. A Pulp Fiction quote is included in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. There's nothing better than an old line being reused in a new way. In 2014, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, the unfortunate death of Nick Fury, played by Samuel L. Jackson, gives us perspective of where the next batch of movies will go, but it's the quote on Fury's gravestone that hints at Jackson's early movie career. The quote is taken from a line in Pulp Fiction and is also a biblical passage: the path of a righteous man. Ezekiel 25:17. There are various movie universes in the entertainment industry, and most of these will never cross paths, but they can add some subtle references to others in their movies, just like Marvel did with Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction through Nick Fury. Meanwhile, Tarantino has also been building his own movie universe, though one with a peculiar organization. Tarantino's movie universe is divided into two levels: the real then realer world and the movie universe, which are the movies the characters in the first level watch. His most famous work, and the one regarded by many as his masterpiece, Pulp Fiction, is part of the real world side of his universe and stars one of his frequent collaborators who also had a big role in the MCU, Samuel L. Jackson. Which one of the Easter eggs do you think we did not talk about? Let us hear your opinions in the comments section. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Also, turn on your post notifications so that anytime we post an update, you will be the first to know.